Yo, what's going on, guys? Sam here. I thought we knew everything about Apple's September event. I did not think this time around there would be any surprises, but that is actually not going to be the case. There's new evidence that a new Apple TV is on the way, that Apple is planning a Series 5 watch, and on top of that, a One More Thing segment. We're about to look at a product or get it. Dude, Siri just ruined my intro. And on top of everything else, a One More Thing segment is planned. That means we're going to be getting a look at something super crazy, like the new 16-inch MacBook Pro, or Apple AR glasses, or an unreleased project, or maybe even Apple's tile tracking device. Plus, a little bit further down the road, iPhone SE2 is going to be coming in March 2020. There is a lot to talk about per usual. I just can't believe all the leaks we're getting right before the event. I guess this is why the summer was so slow at different points. If you're excited, drop a like down below. Hit subscribe for more so you don't miss out on any of this. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to lead today with the Apple Watch Series 5. We have been going back and forth and back and forth, time and time again, asking, is Apple actually going to release a new model, or is there literally going to be no change this year? Well, there was sort of some debate there, but I think today ends it all. 9to5Mac shared a really interesting story today that if you search Series 5 on the Hermès website, well, it comes up with 3 apparently placeholder results, because although it says Series 5, there actually isn't a Series 5 watch pictured here. This is clearly the Apple Watch Series 4, so unfortunately no leaked image of the new Apple Watch, but I think this absolutely confirms the name and without question tells us that a new Apple Watch is on the way and that it is going to be a bit more significant than just a Series 4 upgrade. So that was a few hours ago, but try this again now on the Hermès site and well, guess what doesn't come up? If you search Series 4, a ton of results come up, but searching Series 5, guys, it does not come up with any results because I think that our friends over at Apple saw the headline and got on Hermès to remove the name of the next generation watch. Now, it could have just been a mistake, nothing more and nothing less, but with all the speculation, the fact that we're hearing sleep tracking, blood pressure monitoring, a redesigned side button, new materials, like I think that this is more than just a 4.1 watch. And the fact that Hermès had stuff there today and then took it down just leads more credence to believe that a Series 5 watch is confirmed, and that is definitely what Apple's going to be calling it. Next up, at Apple's September event, I thought I knew everything that Apple was going to be announcing, but there are 2 additional surprises that are apparently in the works. One, a much larger surprise to this day than the other. Today over on Twitter, we've learned that a new Apple TV with an A12 processor on the inside is also likely ready for release. Now, it could be at this event, could be a little bit later down the road in October or November, or possibly even into 2020 when an iPhone SE2 is coming. More on that momentarily. But the Apple TV specific information comes courtesy of a very reputable Twitter account who has been known to share hardware details. I actually have been following this person for like a year or two, and this definitely like lines up. They're not someone who's tweeting BS. So Apple TV with an A12 chip, if Apple is going to be launching their streaming service at this event or sometime this fall, I'm fairly confident we will be seeing a new Apple TV ship alongside that. I mean, how perfect would it be that Apple's talking about Apple TV Plus and then say, oh, by the way, the best way to enjoy this and Apple Arcade, because A12 processor would obviously be better for somewhat serious gaming on the Apple TV. Yeah, you can get those services on the brand new Apple TV. It would be a perfect segue. Largely though, the Apple TV still remains a pretty big mystery, as Apple streaming services and that could be announced next week, or they could come later in October or November. But a bigger surprise looms, because CoinX, our favorite leaker, my personal favorite leaker, because this person has literally never been wrong to date. I don't know who this person is. I'm starting to believe it's a conspiracy, like it's some executive at Apple that has made this Twitter account to just have fun and mess with us, because CoinX now today tweeted, one more thing, and then reference Steve Jobs as well. So one more thing, as you guys know, is when Apple has the event, when everything is done, and they say, well, there's actually one more thing that we want to show you guys. Generally, this is a big product. They don't do this for something tiny, like they wouldn't do this for just a new iPhone or just another Apple Watch. This is going to be for something pretty big and definitely significant. What that's going to be, I'm not entirely sure, but I have a couple of guesses. An update to the MacBook Pro. We know it's going to be redesigned. We know it's going to have thinner bezels. We know it's going to be really powerful. We know it's going to have a new keyboard. I mean, this thing is probably going to be re-engineered from point A to Z. It's going to be a huge update. And I think Apple revealing it in this one more thing manner Here's a crazy guess. I think it's going to have a rainbow Apple logo on the back. There's been a lot of speculation about that returning. Apple has filed trademarks for it. I can see this new 16-inch MacBook Pro displaying like a colored changing or rainbow Apple logo, but that's just my own personal prediction. But I see them doing this incredible promo video for it and then sort of showing us a glimpse at what they've been working on. Now, if you want to get even crazier than that, we know Apple's been working on a tile tracker. I just don't really see a tile tracker being that significant, like a Bluetooth thing that you could stick on your camera or your bike being that worthy of a one more thing. Step it up a notch higher, Apple's been working on an augmented reality headset. Would they give us a glimpse at this if it is rumored to come as early as next year in 2020? I'm not entirely sure. I think the safe bet is the MacBook Pro, the crazy bet is Apple's AR glasses, and somewhere in between would be Apple's tile tracker, or maybe it's none of these and Apple's got something totally secret that they're preparing to announce, like the Apple Watch. You guys remember that back in 2014 or 15, they shared the initial preview and no one was expecting the Apple Watch to be announced at that event. So maybe Apple's been working on some stuff and we're about to see something that we've really not seen before, but never heard of before. Now, maybe you have been in the camp that you're like, I don't want the iPhone this year. It just doesn't look that cool. They're still way too big for my taste. You might not have to feel that way for much longer, because according to a new report from Digitimes picked up by 9to5 Mac, a second generation iPhone SE is in the works, but it's not exactly the traditional iPhone SE that we heard so heavily rumored about a year and a half to 2 years ago. It's not going to be in that little 4-inch body. It's not going to be like totally palmable. It's actually going to be in the body of an iPhone 8 style device. So 4.7-inch LCD screen, likely to have Touch ID on it, and a decent camera with decent specs, maybe even the A13 chip. But it is not going to be that top of the line device, and it's also not going to be that very bottom of the barrel device. If Apple does release this, it sounds like it's going to be this mid-tier option where you don't want an iPhone 11R or the 6.1-inch LCD model there, but you also don't want to pay $1,000 for your phone. So maybe for $400 to $500, Apple offers this as an option to everybody who feels that way. I think it's really realistic because Apple's done it in the past. That was why the iPhone SE was initially released in 2016, when every iPhone then was gigantic at 4.7 and 5.5 inches. Apple came out with a 4-inch model. Now, while they range from 5.8 to 6.5 inches, Apple going back to 4.7 would sort of be that same 4-inch equivalent. So let me know what you guys think about this down below. Would you be down for an iPhone SE that looks like this? I mean, essentially we have an image of what it would look like. It would just be like an iPhone 8, but it'd probably have the cool little iPhone SE insignia on the back. More to come with that. It's still very early, and again, the earliest release date we are hearing for that is probably March 2020, so don't get too excited just yet. It's not confirmed. We have not seen any concrete leaks or, CAD official images or renders of the device, but keep that in the back of your mind if you're thinking about upgrading this year. Hold off a little bit longer, you may just get the iPhone that you really want instead of an iPhone that you have to settle for. Now, finally, speaking of one more things, I also have a one more thing to show you guys. So iOS 13.1 Beta 2 is out for developers and public beta testers right now. The first beta was actually a little bit more buggy than I anticipated, and while there were a lot more changes in that first update, well, today's update is definitely not the case. There was a cool little AirPods insignia when you used the volume indicator and you had AirPods or another like Apple branded Bluetooth device connected. You got this cool new dynamic wallpapers in the first beta. This time around, yes, it does feel more stable than the first beta, which is definitely important to note. I've only found a couple of changes in this update, the primary one being that 3D Touch tends on a lot of these apps to put the options below you rather than above you now. So like pretty much the middle row or above, that's all gonna go down, where before I feel like the actions would actually pop a bit above your finger. Why Apple did this, no idea. It seems like a very arbitrary change, but it does make accessing some stuff a bit easier, you could argue, especially if you have a larger phone. Also, when you try to set a wallpaper, there was an issue in iOS 13.1 Beta 1 where you couldn't properly rearrange it, and it seems like this is an issue that just keeps popping up in new iOS 13 betas. That has been corrected in iOS 13.1 Beta 2, so doing so now works as expected. And this next change I found over on Reddit, I'm not sure if this is entirely new, but it appears there could be a slightly tweaked photo delete animation. So doing this is going to look a little bit different when you delete a photo on iOS 13.1 Beta 2. But by and large, guys, it seems like Apple's already slowing down on the changes in this update. So that's iOS 13.1 Beta 2. Still nothing crazy, and I think we're going to see more changes, especially right after the new iPhones come out. I think Apple's holding back a lot just so that nothing too intentional gets leaked in this update. So that's all the information I have to share with you guys. Huge update video today, and I think things are only going to get crazier as we approach Apple's September event. So it does help me out a lot if you guys do take 1 second to drop a like and hit subscribe. I really appreciate that. I've been Sam. Hope you're doing well. I'll see all of you in the next video.